Is it that I need to change about myself that would lead me to a more abundant life? This is a practical process that transcends the person who.
Hello and welcome to the Pacific Channel, where you learn about the law of attraction, how to manifest anything you want, meditation, and more. In this video, Dr. Joe Dispenza talks more about the definition of worthiness. Basically, he talks about 5 things. See if you can figure out what those 5 things are. He also talks about a woman from Panama who was diagnosed with cancer. She never went to one of his workshops, but she read the book Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, and Dr. Joe tells her amazing story of recovery. And then he also talks about a doctor who is diagnosed with cancer and her amazing story of recovery, where her doctors were baffled at how she healed herself. In both of these stories, it's about feeling worthy by taking action and showing up for yourself and believing in yourself and your future more than the past. Without further delay, let's listen to Dr. Joe.
So there reaches a point where when people, get beyond the blame in their life that something that happened to them and really they feel worthy now that they should get it, but they don't really want to have to work for it, or they feel entitled that because of whoever they think they are, that's worthy. That's not worthiness. In fact, it's something beyond that. It's beyond our own importance, our own exclusivity. It's really about overcoming the resistance that the body tries to keep us in that state of known. So when I see a community of people actually start breaking through and disentangling from those programs and overcoming those emotions and no longer complaining and no longer feeling sorry for themselves, and they give them numerous opportunities to overcome themselves and come up against themselves, and they keep showing up. I watched it happen so many times. They start to really overcome the emotions of their past, and they naturally want to feel the emotions of their future. They actually stop feeling those old emotions, and that's when the body's liberated from the past. And so that person actually, if they keep showing up for themselves, they reach this point where they actually feel worthy of what they're creating. They've gotten to the point where they were no longer in lack of the experience. They feel like the experience has already happened, and the cool part about it is now they no longer want it, right? I mean, they feel worthy to receive it. They feel like they're worthy to have that now in their life. And I think the universe actually supplies us the gifts that we think we're worthy of receiving. And so the overcoming process is so important, because if you truly do that, then even as an example in your walking meditation, in going through a pineal gland meditation, in committing to doing the work on a regular basis, I think if that happens enough times, you keep showing up for yourself, you start feeling really worthy in your life, and you actually don't need that experience any longer. And that's the moment that things start to get wonderful in our lives in so many ways. And so the story we tell ourselves about our lives based on our past is the story of the past. The person who's showing up every single day doing their meditation, they're believing in that future more than they are believing in that story of their past. They're actually showing up saying, I am a creator, and I am going to make the assumption that if I change my energy, if I change my thoughts and feelings, if I practice this process and I show up, then I got to believe in that future, and I got to believe in myself. And so in our own daily lives, when we stop doing the work, then on some level it must mean now that we don't believe that that reality is actually possible, or if we believe it's possible, we don't believe it could happen to us anytime soon. So I think it's so important when you get beyond the thoughts that say, it's too cold outside, or it's too early, or it's raining, or my bed is so comfortable, I think I'll do my meditation laying down in my bed, or my back hurts, I just can't get my groove on today, or I have too much to do. These are things that people tell themselves. I really don't have time today, I'll start tomorrow. These are the things that keep us from the experience of exactly what we want. And I think there's so much decision making that has to take place on a regular basis if you're truly interested in being worthy to receive. And unfortunately, it comes from really practicing it over and over again, that you've experienced it enough times in your mind and you felt it enough times in your body that the biology reflects that you're actually in a different reality. You're in a different environment. You're in a different body. And we have data to actually support that. And so when the person gets up in spite of those thoughts and they make a decision in a specific way that they truly want that future more than those thoughts that they think on a regular basis, they're overcoming programs. That's what they're actually doing. They're getting beyond their programs. And even if they miss a day of meditation, they wouldn't say, I failed, or it's not going to work now, or I'm going to miss another day, or I feel bad. They get right back in the game there. And that's another expression of worthiness. And you keep showing up and you master that fear of the unknown. You master that resistance that keeps you kind of in that same state. The liberation of energy that occurs for that person, that is available energy that they now actually have to create that abundance in their life. And for me, when I get to that point where I don't think I could go any further, I know I'm getting close to something really good. If I just went one more time, or if I was curious enough to see what was beyond whatever it was that was preoccupying my mind, and make it less about the mystical experience, less about the abundance, less about the healing, and more about your execution or your ability to change. You know, people that heal in this work, it's no longer about their healing. The people that truly heal in this work, it really is about what is it that I have to change about myself in order to heal? What is it that I need to change about myself in order to have the mystical experience? What is it that I need to change about myself that would lead me to a more abundant life? This is a practical process that transcends the person who feels unworthy, because the unworthy person is saying, why hasn't it happened yet in my life? Because they're not in that state where they actually can receive it. So we saw two people in the last two events. One woman in Panama on the stage, she never came to a week-long event. She never watched the progressive or intensive workshop. She was diagnosed with cancer, and then she had a very serious autoimmune disease that went with it, and then 3 more additional diagnoses were given to her. And of course, she felt really sick. She was compromised in her own mobility. She had a lot of organ problems. They were going to give her a liver transplant. And she just said, wait a second, wait a second here. There's got to be some other way to do it, right? There's got to be some other way. But before I decide to get a new liver, let me just see if I'm missing anything, because I'm a young person. I don't know if this is the right choice for me. She read Breaking the Habit, and she went for, I'm pretty sure it was 21 weeks of doing her meditation. It was a decent amount of time every single day. And she understood that if she could change herself, if she could truly change herself, that there should be some change in her health. That's how she reasoned it. And she practiced the meditations every single day, wanting to get better at the process of not going unconscious. And she said showing up for herself every single day started to make her really believe that it was possible. She was actually believing in that possibility. That's how it actually happened, because she kept showing up in that belief it was possible. So every day, 21 weeks, at the end of 21 weeks, she said, I can tell you the exact moment in time that I knew that I was changed. I knew it. I knew what it was going to do to my body. She was in that state of worthiness where she had a huge shift. She felt it and she knew it. And of course, all of her values returned back to normal. All of her symptoms went away. All of her diagnostic scans and everything changed. Complete transformation in that person. And the doctors were still in such disbelief that they still wanted her to do some type of chemotherapy, even though there was no evidence anywhere in her body. This past weekend, we had a medical doctor on stage who also was diagnosed with cancer. a very rare cancer, in fact. And she did all the conventional protocols that go along with treating this condition. She did an experimental trial for a period of time. I'm pretty sure it was an experimental trial that kept her condition the same for a couple years. But of course, she was working really hard as a doctor and was under a lot of stress. And in time, the condition started to worsen and the cancer started to move and spread. And she changed her diet. She tried meditating, and still, though, she had tumors all up and down her spine from the metastasis. And then she starts getting exposed to the work, and without coming to an event, just doing it on her own and having it make sense enough to her as a doctor to realize, my goodness, I've been mismanaging my attention and my energy and my emotions. I've been living in high beta for a constant period of time. I'm in survival, I'm in emergency, there's no energy for growth and repair. I'm saying a lot of thoughts to myself that I'm believing that are making me sick. They're making me sicker. And it all made sense to her. And she did her meditations every day. In fact, she admitted that some days she did them twice a day. And the only reason that she started to do them twice a day is because she came up against the belief that she didn't think she could heal. She actually didn't think that she could heal from this condition based on her educated mind, based on what the doctors told her, based on looking at the values in the tests, based on her progression up until this point. She came right up against the belief like, oh my God, I actually don't believe that I could heal. I'm not sure that I actually believe that I can. Now, this is a big defining moment for whether the person becomes worthy to heal or not. So she shows up every day, does her meditations in the mornings, and then again in the evenings. She's catching herself defaulting in her waking day, and she's working in her meditations to change her response to the people and conditions and the circumstances in her life, because she understands if she doesn't change her response, she's not going to change. And nothing changes in our lives until we do change. So the act of showing up every day creates her to be worthy to be healed. And of course, it wasn't like our meditation was any special meditation. What it really meant was that she understood that she had to change. That was it. That's what she understood. So then she starts practicing her response to the problems and conditions, catching the thoughts about her current life, all these reasons why she should feel certain ways. Wow, in a very short amount of time, she starts noticing changes in her physical body, in her symptoms. She goes back and gets the scan, and there's a dramatic decrease in all the tumors in her body. Now, the moment she saw that, she was able to correlate what she was doing inside of her to produce those effects outside of her, and what she thought about that actually created those changes was that every single morning she showed up for herself. Every single morning that she got beyond it, I got a busy day and I had patients to see and I had a stressful day yesterday. She just reached the point where she got to that state of feeling so whole with herself, so changed, that she actually felt like she was no longer that person. Her showing up every day when she got the new diagnosis from the doctors that they couldn't believe it because it was such a rare condition. She thought about those times where she didn't want to do the work. She thought about those times she was in fear, when she was doubting, when she was in too much pain, when she could have said she had too much to do. She thought about those meditations where she was so happy that she showed up for herself, on a regular basis, that she became that new person that she was working on being in. And she started feeling so much better that she started to imagine all the things that she wanted to do in her life again. She was a mother, she had brand new babies, 2 of them. And she had to imagine all the things she wanted to do in her life now that she felt better. It wasn't like a have to. She had to imagine those things because that's what she wanted to do when she was better, when she was healthier, when she was out of pain. That's how much belief she had in her future. And she was changing her brain and body the more she did that. And of course, cancer is in remission. And of course, she's the example now of what it looks like when we show up for ourselves. I learned some really cool things about worthiness and watching our community, and I think that if you keep showing up for yourself and you keep believing in yourself and you believe in those other thoughts, like when you hear I'm too tired, that you believe you can do this and you have enough energy instead of you're too tired. That's the new thought that's actually taking you to that future. That's leading to a new choice. That's leading to a new behavior. That new behavior is that you are the creator of your life. And if you believe that, then you got to behave as if that's the truth. And that means you got to actually take time to create. And you got to remember and not forget. And then, of course, it makes sense then that to become that person means that you'd have to practice overcoming the other person to become this person. And to become it means to feel like you are it, to feel worthy of that future, to feel not in an arrogant or a self-centered way, but it was so worth it. It was so worth it that you showed up every day. And I think that's when we become worth it. So I will take some questions now, but I just want.
So what is worthiness? What are the traits? Did you identify all 5 definitions? Number 1, it's about overcoming resistance in the sense of overcoming your negative thoughts and feelings. Number 2, it's about no longer feeling like you're the victim. When you feel like you're the victim, you're going to attract the same thoughts, feelings, circumstances, places, and events to support that victimhood feeling. Number 3, it's about overcoming past emotions. And number 4, it's feeling the emotions of the future now. It's kind of an interesting concept that your current reality is really the result of your past thoughts and feelings. And your current thoughts and feelings are creating your future reality. So really, in essence, your current reality is old news because it was created from the past. So when you learn how to create your future with your current thoughts, that's when you can really master this stuff. Number 5, it's about no longer feeling sorry for yourself, which is really closely linked to not being the victim any longer. When you no longer feel sorry for yourself, you take responsibility for your vibration, for how you feel, and for creating your life. The bottom line is that you are the creator of your life. When you believe it, you'll see it. If you like this video, please like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And now, go take control of how you feel and how you think, and go create a great day or night.